think that parents should have to upload an ID or prove that they're the parent of a child in every single app that their children use. I think the right place to do this, and a place where it'd be actually very easy for it to work, is within the app stores themselves.
We make it very difficult for predators to find teens on Snapchat. There are no public friends lists, no public profile photos.
I intend to invest more than $2 billion in trust and safety this year alone. We have 40,000 safety professionals, working on this topic.
Being a 14-month-old company, we have reprioritized child protection and safety measures, and we have just begun to talk about and discuss how we can enhance those with parental controls.
Well, those are just some of the comments coming from social media executives testifying at Capitol Hill over child safety online. Lawmakers accusing the tech leaders of failing to protect kids from exploitation and abuse online. For more on this, let's bring in tech analyst Carmi Levy. Carmi, thanks so much for joining us on this one. It was a tough one in terms of some of the personal stories that came out of this from some of the senators, either representing experiences that they had heard or experiences themselves with their children and how they interacted online and led to some pretty unhappy endings, Carmi. And I just wonder what you made of it overall.
Well, we've had hearings like this before, and most of them were fairly, there wasn't a whole lot to say about them. The lawmakers asked some fairly benign questions about revenue and operations and technology, but didn't really get into the meat of it. They weren't contentious. They didn't push them, and ultimately nothing came of them. Today was very different. Today was contentious. Today was emotional. It was impactful. You heard personal stories of loss of kids who died by suicide after being bullied, after encountering online predators on these platforms, and there was a lot of presence of those families in that room, and you could hear it and feel it, and certainly that influenced the outcome. So, this was similar to past ones, but not at all, because for the first time ever, we actually saw lawmakers get upset and say, we've been having these conversations for years, nothing has changed, something's got to change, and it's going to start now. So the apologies are great, it's a great place to start, but an apology does not initiate change. That has to happen separately, and ultimately those lawmakers who have tried and failed in the past to bring forward laws that would hold these companies to account, they're going to need to change their tune and work together to make that happen.
Yeah, you mentioned apologies coming from these CEOs. Mark Zuckerberg from Meta turning around and apologizing to the crowd, and he wasn't the only one, Carmi.
Yeah, Evan Spiegel also apologized to families of kids who had been lost to suicide, and Zuckerberg didn't initiate it. He had to be asked to do so, but once he was prompted, I think he did fairly well. And I think that's an important step, because it does show that big tech is finally starting to recognize that their platforms, their solutions come with consequences, and there's a pretty significant dark side to their very business model, and it has a very profound human cost. And so those apologies reflect that. And I think, maybe that'll resonate in Mark Zuckerberg's mind a little bit. Maybe it'll come out in a leadership meeting when he goes back to Silicon Valley and sits down with his leadership team. So maybe this starts the process. And I think that's an important thing. It's not enough, no longer enough, to simply say, we've made these changes to our technology, we've introduced these features, and we think that's enough. It's pretty clear it isn't enough. And the fact that they've recognized it at this human level is a really important milestone.
Do you think that there will be the political will to change something? There's a lot of talk about there not being the ability for some of these companies to be held accountable legally, and pushing for the ability to do that. Do you think that there will be changes? I mean, you talked about how it was very broadly, fairly in consensus from the senators, which might have been somewhat unusual as well.
I think there will be political will if the politicians realize that that's what their electors want. And they're in an election year in the U.S., and so this needs to be both south and north of the border. We're getting ready for our election next year a major issue. And I've said it time and again, politician shows up at my door, that's what I'm going to be asking them. So I think the politicians will finally change their tune and move from simply, having a dog and pony show to actually moving ahead with substantive legislation, crossing the aisles to work with their political opponents for the betterment of society, when they realize that they're not getting reelected if they don't do this. We're 20 years into the big social era. We've been having these conversations for 2 decades. It's time for something to change. And if these politicians won't, well, then I'm guessing maybe others should be elected in.
What about the impact on the businesses, Carmi? If they need to be making changes, if there are new rules implemented, what sort of fallout do you think there could be there?
Tougher legislation represents an existential threat to the way these companies do business today. It can slow them down, add overhead, significantly drive up the cost of delivering these services and of monetizing the billions of users that they've built into their networks. And so, of course, if you're an investor, the last thing you want is to look at the organizational structure and go, oh my goodness, business is about to become that much more expensive. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself the question, is an efficient business that damages society, is that ultimately good for everyone's business as well? So pay me now, pay me later. But I think ultimately that's going to change the way they operate. It's going to reduce their margins. But at the end of the day, I think everybody wins.